There's this very specific, heavy kind of cloud that hangs over almost everyone who tries to learn a second language later in life.
Mm-hmm.
It's this mental block. It's the absolute certainty that you have already lost the game before you've even, put your jersey on.
It's the geography is destiny fallacy.
Exactly. It's this belief that you cannot truly master English or any language, really, unless you quit your job, pack your bags, and move to London or New York.
Or, at the very least, you have to be in a classroom 3 hours a night getting grilled by a native speaker until your brain melts.
Right. And it's a massive psychological barrier.
It is. It frames fluency as a location, not a skill set. And frankly, it's an excuse. It lets us say, well, I'm not in the UK, so I can't be expected to be fluent.
It lets us off the hook.
Yeah.
But it's also just incredibly discouraging for anyone who has a job or kids, or, let's be honest, a bank account that doesn't support a move to Chelsea. But today, we are taking a sledgehammer to that myth. We're doing a deep dive into English Unleashed, hosted by Tom. And I have to say, the core message here is aggressive in the best possible way.
It really is. What drew me to this source is that it fundamentally shifts the goalposts. It moves us away from the idea of studying and pushes us toward lifestyle integration.
It's a total mindset shift.
It is. The source argues you don't need a native speaker holding your hand, and you certainly don't need hours of free time.
Which is good, because I don't think I have hours of free time scheduled until maybe 2028.
You and everyone else. The whole mission of this deep dive is to explore what the source calls small, smart steps. We're not talking about grammar drills.
Yeah.
We're looking at cognitive hacks, ways to sort of trick your brain into fluency by removing the friction.
So if you're listening and you've ever felt like I'm too busy or I'm just not talented at languages, keep listening. Because the techniques we're covering, they feel a bit like cheating.
They do. They bypass the traditional academic circuits in the brain.
Okay, let's jump right into the heavy hitter first. The source spends a lot of time on a technique called shadowing. Now, I've heard this term thrown around, but I feel like most people get it wrong.
Oh, they absolutely get it wrong. Most people confuse shadowing with, drilling.
Right. Drilling is what we did in high school. The teacher says the cat is red, the class pauses, then everyone drones back. The cat is red.
Exactly. And that pause, that's the enemy. That is not shadowing.
Okay.
The source explains that shadowing is more like being a frantic echo. You listen to a speaker, like a podcast host or someone in a video, and you repeat exactly what they say immediately.
Immediately, like while they're still talking.
Yes. That's the crucial part. The gap between their voice and your voice should be milliseconds. You don't stop the audio. You don't translate in your mind.
You don't look at a dictionary.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
You are just trying to copy the sound, the speed, the tone, the rhythm right on top of the speaker.
Okay, hold on. That sounds incredibly chaotic. If I'm doing that, I'm going to be stumbling over my own tongue.
It feels chaotic. The source actually admits this. Tom says it feels strange and uncomfortable at first. You might be repeating words you haven't even fully processed yet.
But doesn't that defeat the purpose? If I'm repeating something and I don't know what it means, isn't that just making noise? How is that learning?
That is the natural reaction. But this is where it gets really interesting from a cognitive perspective. The source explains shadowing isn't about comprehension in that moment. It's about training your brain and your mouth to work together. It's physical.
So we're bypassing the intellectual part of the brain.
You're bypassing the analytical part. If you stop to translate, you've engaged the analytical brain. You're solving a puzzle. Shadowing forces you to engage the motor cortex and the auditory processors.
You're training the muscles.
You are. You're training the muscles in your jaw and tongue to move in English rhythms, which are physically different from your native language.
That makes so much sense. It's like learning a dance. You don't stop to read a book about the tango on the dance floor. You just move your feet.
Precisely. It teaches you how English feels in your mouth. And the source claims that doing this for just 5 minutes a day creates faster, clearer, and more natural speech.
5 minutes. I think we can all find 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You just have to be willing to look a little crazy.
Embrace the crazy. That's the takeaway.
Okay, so that handles the physical act of speaking. But you can't shadow if you aren't listening. And the source has a really interesting take on the input side of things. I think a lot of people have this all-or-nothing mentality.
The panic spiral.
Exactly that. You put on a movie in English, you miss a word in the second sentence, you get stuck on that word. Meanwhile, the speaker has said 3 more sentences, now you're lost, you feel stupid, and you turn it off.
It's a classic failure mode. The source addresses this head-on with what they call the 30% rule.
I found this incredibly liberating. Tell us about the 70% rule.
Well, the source argues you don't need 100% comprehension to learn. In fact, waiting for 100% comprehension is why people quit. The source says even if you only understand 30% or 50%, it's still useful.
That is a very low bar, 30%.
Think about how a baby learns. Do they understand every single word? No. They catch keywords, tone, rhythm. The source advocates for a background music approach. Listen while you're walking, cleaning, cooking.
So you're not sitting there with a notebook, furrowing your brow, trying to pass a test.
No, you're just letting the sounds wash over you. You're training your ears to the real rhythm of people, which is so different from textbook audio.
Right. In real life, people mumble.
They cut words short, they slur things together. You need to expose your brain to that messy data so it can start finding the patterns.
It's immersion without the plane ticket.
Exactly, you're just soaking it in.
But eventually, we have to produce language on our own. And the source brings up a common problem, the translation lag. That painful silence where you're thinking in your native language, translating it, checking the grammar.
And by the time you speak, the topic has changed.
Yes, it's humiliating.
The source tackles this with a technique called thinking in English.
Which, to be honest, sounds like draw the rest of the owl. Just think in English. If I could do that, I would need the advice.
It does sound dismissive, doesn't it? But the source gives a very practical roadmap. You don't start by trying to debate philosophy in your head.
Yeah.
You start with one thought at a time, using short, simple sentences. It's about labeling your immediate reality.
Can you give some of the examples from the source?
Yeah,
Because they were surprisingly basic.
they were. The idea is to narrate your life. When you wake up, it's morning, I'm still sleepy, I need coffee.
I need coffee is my internal monologue in any language.
Right, and when you're outside, the sky is blue, the air is cold, I see a dog. Or at work, I'm working, I'm tired.
I want to go home.
Yeah, that one too.
It feels almost meditative.
It is. It's like mindfulness, but in English. The key is that you're connecting the direct sensation, the feeling of cold air, the visual of the blue sky, directly to the English word. You cut out the middleman.
So you're skipping your native language entirely.
Exactly. That's how fluency happens. It's when the gap between the thought and the word just disappears. The source suggests whispering these thoughts or saying them quietly.
Creating a little daily conversation with yourself.
And no one is judging your grammar when you're just muttering that the sky is blue. That lack of judgment is crucial. You're building a safe space in your own head.
Okay, moving on. The source uses this really great analogy for speaking practice. The gym for speaking muscles.
Yes, this is about reading aloud. Now, most of us read silently. We're taught that reading is a silent activity.
Right. It's seen as something kids do, moving your lips while you read.
But the source makes a strong distinction. Silent reading is good for comprehension, but reading aloud connects the tongue and the brain. It bridges the gap between recognition and production.
And there's a specific method, right? You don't just drone through a textbook.
Correct. You choose short texts, like
Right.
children's books, and you use what I'm calling the actor technique.
Okay, I love this. Walk us through the actor technique.
So first, you read the text slowly. Just focus on clarity. Then you read it faster. Then, and this is the fun part, you read it with expression. Imagine you're an actor on a stage.
So really ham it up.
Exactly. If the character is angry, sound angry, shout it. If they're happy, sound happy. If they're whispering, you whisper.
Why does that help? Isn't that just distracting?
It distracts you from the right things. When you focus on the emotion of the sentence, you stop obsessing over the grammar. It forces you to use natural intonation. You stop sounding like a GPS and start sounding like a person.
It's physical training.
It is. You're training the complex muscles in your mouth and throat to form English sounds naturally.
Okay, so we've got shadowing, background listening, thinking in English, and acting.
Mm.
These are all great, but let's be real, they still require some dedicated focus. This next segment is my absolute favorite because it's for the lazy learner.
The efficient learner.
Yes, the efficient learner.
Yeah.
The lifestyle integration segment. The source argues we shouldn't just study English, we should live with it.
It shouldn't be a Monday night activity. It should be like morning coffee.
And the first hack for this is something we all hold in our hands half the day anyway.
The phone settings.
Now, I have to play devil's advocate. Changing my phone language to English sounds like a recipe for disaster. I'm going to accidentally delete all my photos.
That's a genuine fear.
Oh, yeah.
But that fear is actually why it works. The source points out that the average person checks their phone 50 to 100 times a day.
Wow.
That is 50 to 100 opportunities for exposure. It's repetition plus necessity. That moment of panic when you're trying to find the calculator, that's high-stakes learning.
Right.
You automatically learn words like settings, airplane mode, brightness, delete, and download. You don't study these with flashcards. You learn them because you need them.
It's survival mode. The brain remembers it because it has to.
Exactly. It removes the friction. You don't have to decide to study English. You just have to unlock your phone.
Okay, then there's the writing hack. Now, usually when people say write in English, I imagine a 5-page essay and I just freeze up.
The blank page paralysis. The source suggests the 3-sentence diary.
This is brilliant.
The rule is strict. Write only 3 short sentences about your day. That's it.
And the examples were delightfully mundane.
They were. Today I went to work. I was very tired. I drank 2 cups of coffee. Or it rained this morning. I stayed home. I watched an English video.
Why is this so effective? It seems almost too simple.
It works because you'll actually do it. If the goal was a page, you'd skip it. This takes 2 minutes. It builds the habit of output, and you're using vocabulary that is relevant to your life.
Not words about 18th century farming.
Exactly. Okay, and speaking of output, the next hack is a little more daunting, but the source swears by it. The 1-minute voice message.
This one sounds scary.
It creates a feedback loop. The idea is you record yourself talking about your day for just 1 minute.
And who is this recording for? Because if I have to send it to someone, I'm out.
No one, just you. The source emphasizes this is a safe space. No one else has to hear it.
That is key.
But the magic happens when you listen back.
Oh, God. Listening to your own voice is painful enough in your native language.
It is cringy. There's no way around it. But it is the fastest way to spot your own errors. When we speak in real time, our brains are overloaded. We can't hear our own mistakes.
But on the recording,
You become the teacher, you hear the pronunciation slip, you hear the grammar error, and you can fix it next time. It's like being your own coach.
okay, let's move to the social aspect. We've talked a lot about solo activities, but language is for connecting. The source talks about socializing and digital immersion.
And thank goodness it says you don't need to walk into a physical classroom.
Right.
It really leans into the digital age. It suggests using online groups, WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, Facebook groups.
But not just language learning groups, right?
Ideally, no. Join a group about something you love. If you love gardening, join a British gardening group. If you love coding, join an international coding Discord.
Just jump into the chat.
Yes. Even just reading other people's messages helps connect you to the language as a communication tool. It stops being a school subject and starts being a way to chat, to complain, to joke. That shift is vital.
And finally, the source validates my bad habit of scrolling through short-form videos. TikTok, Reels, Shorts. The source actually recommends this.
With a caveat. You can't just doom scroll mindlessly for 2 hours.
Yeah, there's always a catch.
The source says to use short videos, 20 seconds or so on topics you like, but the drill is watch it 2 or 3 times, pause, and repeat the sentences. Copy the tone and speed.
So it's basically micro-shadowing.
Exactly. And because the content is engaging, it's visual, it's fast, it's entertaining, it doesn't feel like work. It turns doom scrolling into a productive learning session.
I love that, turning a vice into a virtue. So taking a step back, what is the secret the source is actually revealing here? Because it seems like the secret is just doing it.
The secret is that there is no secret method. There is only daily application. It's about volume. It's about turning small daily actions into English practice.
So instead of saying good morning in your native language, say it in English.
Write your to-do list in English. Swap 5 minutes of native TV for English TV.
The source is arguing that these tiny moments compound.
They do. It's compound interest for your brain. Strong habits create confidence. When English is in your phone, your journal, your thoughts, it stops feeling like homework.
It just becomes the atmosphere you live in.
And then that goes back to the beginning. You don't need to be in London. You can create London in your phone and in your head.
You build your own immersion environment.
Precisely. You don't need permission and you don't need a plane ticket.
You just need to begin.
Yes.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. The source suggests letting English be part of who you are, not just what you study.
And that raises a fascinating question about identity.
Right. So try this. Look around the room you're in right now. Whatever you're doing, driving, washing dishes, start narrating it in English.
I am listening to a deep dive.
I am holding the steering wheel. I am washing a plate. Just see how that feels. Does that simple switch change your mindset? Does it move you from being an observer of the language to a participant in it?
It's a small shift, but it might just change everything.
Give it a try. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive, and we'll catch you next time.